Welcome to the Blessed Teach Show. This is Rick, your host here on Wednesday, October 23rd. And we are talking about the Cabal's DUMBs, the deep underground military bases that they have that are being basically taken over by white hats now at underground war. And Gene is going to be our expert decoder here. It's a long decode. That'll probably take 2 to 3 shows potentially to get through it. So we'll figure out when we'll do that versus my regular shows, and the fact that I'm going to be out of town this weekend with kind of a family reunion. We'll play it all by ear, but we'll let you know as quickly as we can what's going on. I see we have a lot of people on. Kosensi, Gene's talking to a lot of people. Queued up was the first one. At the ready. Watched Phil Snyder. Rip Patriot. Yeah, and then we got quite a few people on. Thank you guys for coming so early and getting us rolling here. I forgot to put this on Twitter, forgot to put it on Facebook, all that type of stuff, which was part of my pre-routine, but too busy with some other things right now. We got people from South Carolina, Illinois, Vegas, Michigan. Thank you guys all for being here. And all over all the places as well. We got people talking about Antarctica and other things as well in this chat. I love it. You guys keep on rolling with it. All right, again, we're going to dig into this right now. I do want to start with a couple quick things before I introduce and bring Gene on, for those of you who haven't met him yet. Most of you probably already know him pretty well. But the first thing I wanted to show you is what Trump's doing. Look at this. Ceasefire permanent now. That has become...
We wounded so many.
He has a little 1-minute thing here. I'm not going to play this all, but you guys are probably have been alerted to the fact that the whole Syria, between the Kurds and the Turkey, has actually went from a 4-day ceasefire to a actual permanent ceasefire. It just shows you we're winning despite all the attacks by Democrats to try to take him out of office, doing anything, even using a dishonest process. It's really sad what they're trying to do, but it's great to see that we are handling this. And as far as the narrative and winning with things like this while he's being attacked right and left. I do have a new sponsor for this month. I've talked about him a couple times before, but death in the family can be hard, but unfortunately we all have to deal with it sooner or later. All of us leave behind final expenses such as funeral costs, medical bills, and other debts. In fact, the average funeral alone is between $8,000 and $9,000. Having no insurance when you die can leave your loved ones with a huge bill to deal with, and no one wants that. Take control of your family destiny today and have the satisfaction they will be financially taken care of. Visit ratefamily.com to get a free quote. You can select the best plan to fit your needs and budget. Burial expenses is very easy to budget for and can even choose how often to make payments. Some members pay as low as $36 per month due to income level. Visit ratefamily.com. Or you can call 1-855-919-RATE. You can see that on the screen too. 855-919-RATE, or just go to ratefamily.com. Don't let your family pay for your final expenses. So you can click down below in this YouTube video as well to do that. Hey, with that, I am going to bring up this Word document and unmute Gene here. Gene, thank you so much for taking the time to do this massive research on DUMBs.
Oh, you're so welcome, Rick. Thank you.
Yeah, so Gene's really done a significant amount of work on this, and I'm just digging into it now. And it's just amazing how much evidence there is for these deep underground military bases, and evidence for the patents for these different types of drills that are huge underground, as well as using all kinds of I guess class 5 type of material that's happening underneath, and we'll just get into it. I'm going to jump into this, and Gene, just to jump in, I'll stop every once in a while like we did last time, and just let me know if you have any setup you want to do for this decode.
Sounds good, Rick. Let's roll.
All right, so he says, greetings, Rick, in the love and light of the one infinite creator. Below is the new decode for the DUMB system, an under-earth war prolonged spiritual war for the survival of Eden, earth, and humanity. Ephesians 6:12. I know you have the dog there. I have a dog here, and I forgot to turn off my lights. Just 1 second.
Yeah, I just put her out, Rick. Sorry about that, everyone.
That makes it a lot easier for me to read, guys, when I have the lights off behind me. There are 4 stages. So again, I read Ephesians 6:12. Let me go back to that. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. So you just think about that verse, and it's like, that's exactly right. I think we've seen that in the Q post as well. Right? It talks about the armor of God quite a bit, but also about the struggle, about it's a spiritual battle. And that's why I'm just so privileged to be talking to you right now, because I know most of you that listen to this channel are not only red-pilled, are not only Trump supporters, but are also filled with the Holy Spirit, right? You love the true Jesus, you love the true God, and you have a relationship with God through that Jesus. And that's the people that are going to be fighting this spiritual battle, as I've been talking about a lot. There are 4 stages of this prolonged spiritual battle between good and evil, or the evil darkness forces that stand opposed to the divine plan of the one true living God and those that have dedicated themselves to the service of the one true living God. The 4 stages necessary to complete in order to win this war against the evil darkness that descended centuries ago on to earth and attacked humanity are: number 1, remove the evil darkness from the space about the earth and maintain permanent supremacy therein. Number 2, remove the evil darkness from the earth's skies and maintain permanent supremacy therein. Number 3, remove the evil darkness from the surface of the earth and maintain permanent supremacy therein. And number 4, remove the evil darkness from the beneath the surface of the earth, under the earth's surface, throughout all tunnels, labyrinths, caverns, and domes, deep underground military bases, and maintain permanent supremacy therein. Stage 1 and 2 have been mostly complete. Again, that's space as well as the ground, right? With number 1 and 2, the space and earth to maintain permanent, as well as maintain permanent with the skies. So space and the skies, and now on the ground, we're talking about stage 3. The ground has had vast advances by the Q alliance, with only a few strongholds left, mainly being the Cabal, China, Iran, and Israel. Within these countries, the top leadership are now white hat patriots, and the swamp draining and removal of satanic evil upper echelon is proceeding, and within the branches of those countries' governments. And so I was going to ask you, Gene, so I understand how China was Z as well as Israel with Netanyahu, but you think Iran's also got some white hat people there, or at least anti-Cabal leaders?
Yes, the top leadership as well as the upper
Gene,
top.
do I have you?
As you know, with the drone attack, and then Trump announced that we were going to hit targets.
Gene, I lost audio on you. I can see it there. Let me see what's going on. So somebody's getting like a lot of great comments about great dig, etc. But Gene, I'm not sure you've done something with your computer, because we were working fine here before, but we've lost audio on you. You're unmuted. I'm going to mute and unmute you real quick. So Gene, you are unmuted, but I'll just keep on rolling just in case you stepped away from the computer for a second.
No, I was
Within these countries, the top leadership are now white hat patriots, and the swamp draining and removal of satanic evil upper echelon is proceeding, and within the branches of those countries' governments. In the U.S., the swamp draining has been seen a great advances, and after the 2Q, I love how he did that, the 2020 elections are completed, there will be vast changes occurring, starting with a massive arrest and military tribunals and executions of those found guilty of treason. See Mark Taylor prophecy on arrests in Congress. Yeah, we still, at least I can't hear you. Let me see if anybody else.
Everybody in the audience is hearing me.
Give me a 1 if you can hear actually. I just unplugged and plugged my microphone. Now I've got you. Go ahead, Gene.
So on that Iran deal, when Trump when we had the drone attack, and then Trump announced that he was going to hit targets, that was so that they would find out who in our government leaks it to the Iran government, and then the Iran government, they watched all of the anti-aircraft technologies being moved to take out our incoming wave, and that told them everybody in that was in the Cabal in their area. And you remember from my previous decodes that they then took 10 people out and beheaded them right away, because they don't have an involved justice system like we have in this country. They say, okay, you're guilty, you did this, and they just take you out, cut your head off.
Yeah. Yeah, so even though they are being portrayed just like in North Korea as these evil leaders, they may be fighting this cabal with us after all, right?
Yeah, and in North Korea, he actually had his brother-in-law killed because he found out he was turning against him and still using the cabal against him and leaking information on him. So he actually had his brother-in-law killed coming out of the airport, Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, and so he was working with the cabal. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, his brother-in-law was, and then Jinping, of course, almost all of the leadership below Jinping. Jinping has got it really rough because he's a white hat, but almost the entire Communist Party is nothing but Nephilim. It's not just traitors and cabal, but they're actually.
I'm gonna have to change microphones to hear Gene. Just 1 second.
Those people beneath Jinping are not even completely human. They're blood of Cain and really evil people. And then currently, as you see on the screen, I'll go ahead and talk while Rick is gone, getting fixed up here. The last stage of this is what you saw with the fires, as we'll see in the coming out at Porter Ranch out of the manhole covers and sewer drains. And as you see here, the 10,000 military, that's U.S. military. There's a total of 16,000 there. That's Marines and Special Forces.
I'm having real problems hearing you, Gene. That's a real bummer. All right, Gene, you keep on rolling for a little bit. I'm going to put this down for you, and I'm going to go to this article here so you can take this over for a little bit while I get a good pair of headphones. Keep on rolling. I'll move this down a little bit. Bummer, the soundtrack worked perfectly, but I do not have Gene in the audio. All right, so let me know if you guys have Gene or not. Give me a 1 if you got Gene. If you don't have Gene, cannot hear Gene. We're having all kinds of attacks right now. So I see that Gene's microphone's not going down below on me either, which is really weird because we had the sound check working perfectly and everything set up right. We can't hear Gene either. Wow. No sound on your guest. All right, Gene. So you might want to try just calling back into the Zoom one more time and seeing if that happens, because I'm showing you as unmute. I'm going to mute you, unmute again. This has worked perfectly every time. Now no one has Gene. So that was really weird how I was losing you back and forth. But I've caught, this is my third pair of microphones, so I don't think it's my side. And there's one other setting I'm going to try to check with my computer, but it usually is not this. Thank you guys for bearing with me as we're working through this decode. This decode's awesome, so we really need to get this working. Everything is set up on the right settings on my side. So, Gene, try to call back in if you don't mind. Just come out of the Zoom and come back into Zoom, because Zoom usually works extremely well. And we'll see what happens when I see that bottom microphone going. I know we have. It says, let Gene chat. He's not talking. What do you mean? So, two people yeah, so we heard him till you changed your mic. Yeah, well, that my mic's not going to, something really weird is going on there. So, I might have to reboot my machine, which would be a real sad thing. So, this is interesting, though, that the Marine Corps hasn't done anything like this in decades. 10,000 Marines, sailors, and NATO troops have descended on the Marine Corps Air-Ground Combat Center in California's Mojave Desert for a massive training exercise. The troops will be pitted against each other in a force-on-force battle as they prepare a different kind of fight, one against an enemy with sophisticated equipment and skills. So, I am going to try one other thing. I said, hey, I think you guys, no sound at all. You guys have sound on me because I can see the sound coming on me. It's just that Gene is the issue. And so maybe it screwed up when I actually did take my microphone in and out, which it should not do. I'm going to switch to a different setting built in here for a second and come back to that setting with Gene. All right, Gene, I'm calling back in now. Worst case, you might have to call me on my mobile phone and we'll have you right here talking to the speaker. I've done that before successfully with several people. And as important as you are to this Decode, that might be the way to go. But let's keep on rolling here. I'm going to go back to my Word document, which has an incredible amount of information with Gene. The whole idea, the massive underground war with the call up of all branches of the U.S. military, 10,000 U.S. military in operations, and 29 Psalms link. And so, as you look at this, we hear about our children being brought back, etc., but there's actually wars going on underneath, is what Gene's getting to. Here, a lot of evidence for that we're going to be going over with this. It says the Special Forces leading the vanguard using weapons very few have knowledge of or have ever dreamed of. It's advancing through the immense Illuminati demon forces and vast interconnected deep underground military bases, the DUMS complex that is connected with nationwide highways and tunnels with magnetic leviting trains. These maglevs capable of speeds of up to 17,000 miles per hour that connect to all facilities and DUMS throughout the world. These facilities have incredible stores of food, water, DNA, and seed banks, all fully supplied with autonomous free energy supplies. Yeah, call me by phone, Gene. We have nothing on you at all. If you've already tried to come back in and out of this, and so this is an incredible times here. This is the last stronghold of the satanic Illuminati, ancient evil Nephilim bloodlines of Cain. Evidence of the battle can be seen with fires coming out of sewers, stormhole drains, and manhole covers in California, covered on B2T show on October 13th. See also this link.
There's fire actually coming through the.
Hey Gene, I'm playing the fires in the hole right now.
Up at the Ralph's up here.
Okay, you hear me now?
Yeah, got some echo.
Seen that before.
So I'm playing the smoke right now in the manhole.
So it's underground at this moment. There's some more over here coming through another vent. That's wild.
That's just crazy is what it is. You want to talk a little bit about that, Gene, about
which?
About the smoke and the fire underneath the manhole.
Yeah, the reason that they are using the smoke that you see and the fires coming out of there is because they're fighting forces that are, wow, I'm hearing backbeat on mine. I don't know how to stop that. It's weird. But they're fighting forces that are infected with Kuru, which is highly contagious, so that if they kill those people that are infected with that, like in what you saw Hillary and Merkel with the shakes, then they die and they release that, and it's highly
infectious and it's airborne, so they have to burn them as they attack them alive, literally, and that's why you see the fires coming out. Realize that seeing those fires means that if those people were to die in that coup, it would come out through those some places you see the fire at.
Wow. Okay. Here's what I'm thinking of doing. We got back feed on this, and the audio's just not working. I think we're going to, somebody says much better, so maybe I'll keep trying this.
That's fine with me, Rick, but it's really echoey for me because I got the delay time between the call and your show.
Okay.
But I'm okay with it if the audience is okay with it.
Okay, guys, we got two choices I want you to vote on here. Number one is I could totally reload and start this back in 10 minutes, or we just keep on rolling as is. So one, if you want me to restart. Two, keep on going. So live audience vote. One, restart the whole computers, get the audio working correctly. Number two, keep on rolling with me holding the phone here. So they're saying, okay, keep on rolling. So my sound's good. Obviously, it's going to be rough for you a little bit, Gene, but I'll keep on rolling here. So here is the back to the Decode. That is just crazy to see what's happening underneath our ground, and you guys are just going to be shocked about how many there are. So I'm getting mainly twos, people wanting to keep on going. For most of humanity, this under-earth network defies imagination. This vast network was created under Project Mark Rand. So, Gene, let me know that it's not really MK Ultra, it's Mark Ultra. So the correct thing for the Army is Mark Rand, also known as Alternative 2. In the book entitled Alternative 3, author Leslie Watkins stated scientists concerned with the state of the Earth's atmosphere had secret meetings that produced three alternatives for handling the imminent danger. Alternative 1, blast holes through the stratosphere to release heat and pollution. This was done by simultaneous detonations of atomic weapons in the Earth's high atmosphere of the ozone belt in areas where few would notice. Over Siberia, the deep Amazon, and Australia outback, and over both poles. This is the cause of the ozone holes, not human ground, vehicular, and other human causes, as reported by the fake news network.
On that, also the main, that's just actually a subterfuge as to why they wanted to do that. The main reason they did that was to destroy the incoming Christ energy, the Christos, to blow holes, so that they were hoping that that uplifting energy that's now causing the Great Awakening, which they knew it would, and they were trying to stop that, and that was back in the 90s they did that. They also towed space shuttles, if you look back in that time, towed 16-mile long wire behind them trying to ionize the Earth's atmosphere to keep that energy from coming in.
Boom. All right, so but now we got a lot of people starting to put ones out there. Relocate the best Earth population was number 2. Number 3 was build bases in major cities of slave laborers, supporting the Illuminati satanic top families on the moon and Mars. We're going to be talking about Alternative 2, the Project Mark Rand here, which is just relocate the best of Earth's population. That's what you're going to do. Compliant slaves and their Illuminati satanic bloodlines masters in massive underground caverns and dumbs. Alternative 2 is the dumb tunnel network covered in this Decode. So that's what we're going to be digging into right now. And so as we get attacked by the technology bugs here, seems like we've had a lot of that lately. The last one we got attacked by just the hotel Wi-Fi completely cutting off the stream. And now we're getting into where my audio doesn't work with Gene, which was working perfectly before the show. Quite shocking. The name Rand comes from the Rand Corporation, which has the patent on the nuclear-powered laser boring machines that bore over 60 miles an hour. Hey, Gene, if you probably mute your computers and just listen to me on the mobile, I think it would kill the back feed.
I've already done that.
Okay. There are at least 1,400 dumbs worldwide, 108 known dumbs in the U.S., with 2 underground bases being built per year in the U.S. The average depth of the bases are 4.2 miles underground. Woo! Each dumb base costs between $17 and $26 billion to build, which is funded by MI6, CIA, drug money, and human trafficking money. Each underground base employs 10,000 to 18,000 workers. Nuclear-powered drills and neutron bombs are the primary methods used to create and dig these domes underground. The drills go through rock at speeds at 60 miles an hour, literally melting the rock away to form a smooth glass-like surface around the edges of the tunnels. Underground facilities, container computer centers, and massive servers. Generic implementation laboratories, clone mills, mind control, research and control systems, and MK Ultra slave mills and storage facilities are, as well as training facilities for those forces, DNA and seed storage facilities, storage of all movie and TV series ever made, freshwater reservoirs, above top secret weapon and weapon testing and advanced aircraft facilities, gold and financial storage, food storage for survival of millions for hundreds of years, satanic temples, demonic living areas, fuel storage units, air conditioning, water reservoirs, and large underground lakes, dining and medical facilities, full cities, storage of all movies and TV series ever made, advanced weapon and aircraft and spacecraft research facilities, massive weapon storage bunkers, luxurious resorts, and much more. The black budget is a secret.
Have full cities underground, like we're going to see later, probably in the next Decode on another day. They have full cities, like under Denver, there's 8 cities.
Yeah. And that's just crazy if you think about that. 8 cities under Denver, okay? The black budget is the secretive budget that garners 25% of the gross natural product of the United States and currently consumes 1.25 trillion per year. The deep underground military bases projects consume 90% of this. There are approximately 50 ways tunnels and underground facilities are dug and formed. Some of these are high pressure, continuous water, low pressure, percussive water jet, high frequency electric drills, turbine drills, pellet drills, spark drills, explosive both conventional and neutron bombs. These leave no residual radiation. Hydraulic rock hammers, lasers, masers, dudes, we've talked about that. It's the direct energy weapon, beam guns, forced flames, nuclear powered boring machines, dustification guns that break the atomic bonds, to mention a few. These various tunneling methods can be broken down in 1, mechanical, such as a water cannon. Number 2, thermal, such as a highly velocity flame laser, atomic fusion, etc. Chemical, such as a dissolver. Energy, a DEW, and other technologies of that type. The nuclear-powered machines are called submarines, rhymes with submarine. And the nuclear submarines build tunnels up to 40 feet in diameter, and they work the rock. It is melted into a hard, glassy tunnel lining. Fully filtered air intake shafts bring fresh air to tunnels and underground facilities. Many of the underground sites are close to railroads, airports, seaports, and have entrances trucks can drive into, as well as ships and submarines can sail into. Some of the entrances for trucks are protected by holograms that look like the side of a mountain, but allow vehicles to just drive through them. The other style of hidden entrances are buildings where trucks drive in and are lowered via access shafts down into the underground areas. Security facilities, these facilities vary from the Wacka Hut to Homeland Security and others. Penetration tests on facilities are carried out by special units called OP-06D. And this is interesting. Now this is where we start getting into the list of known dumbs in the USA. And with the bad audio here, what do you think, Gene? Do you want to continue to try it?
I'm good if the audience is good.
Okay, so go ahead and talk about this list of unknown dumbs in the USA. And the idea here, guys, we're going to try to go through a lot of exactly where all these dumbs were, the massive amounts of them in the U.S., right? And then we on tomorrow's broadcast and maybe even the following week, we'll get into a lot of pictures of the drills and the patterns of the drills and really understand exactly what's going on. So go ahead, Gene, on Alaska.
Alaska, Brooks Range, number 2 and 3, Delta Junction and Fort Greely in the same Delta Junction area. Arizona, Fort Huachuca. You got the latitude, longitude there. That's an intelligence, training, and mind control and genetics and detention camp. Luke Air Force Base, where actually I used to live out there and know about that. Gates Air Force Base, number 6, number 7, Gila Mountain area south of the interstate in Yuma. Grand Wash Cliffs, western edge of the cliffs at the head of Great Bang Wash. Rick, you need to scroll up. Yeah, it's reached by Highway 193 via unpaved roads, as you can read there. Hualapai Mountains, and that's 35 miles southeast of Kingman in the mountain range up there. I've been up there too. Rincon Mountain, north side of Rincon Mountain. Mount Lemmon. On page, that goes all the way under Hoover Dam and was constructed as they were building Hoover Dam. Safford, Santa Catalina Mountains, Sedona, Arizona. That's a detainment camp located under Enchantment Resort in Boynton Canyon. Yucca Mountains, located just off I-40 if you're driving from Phoenix to LA. I've actually seen that. You'll see 4 huge, massive, large power cables penetrating into Yucca Mountains. And it's very visible. You can see the picture right there.
Wow. That's crazy.
And that's a really huge one.
Look at the cars right there. Look how big that entrance is.
And that's what they call a super deep base.
Mm-hmm.
Scroll up there, Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas, in the vicinity of Hardy and Cherokee Village. That's now under under White Hat control. That was taken during Hurricane Dorian with the cover of Hurricane Dorian. Pine Bluff, and on to California. The 29 Palms Marine Base has been taken. That's part of what Emmett Spears talked about, the current ongoing operation with 10,000 U.S. military, being Marines, Special Forces, Army, Air Force, Army Rangers, as well as 6,000 other troops from other countries. They're in training, and that training is a cover for the attacks and things going on to take out and burn out the demons and cougar-infested troops down there, like you see the fires that we mentioned earlier. China Lake, as you know, was taken out by 2 Earth 7.1 earthquakes, a 6.49, a 6.4 back on 8 and 9 July. That was the largest facility ever taken out. That was a huge underground facility that was opened by 2 neutron bombs. It had what's known as a spark gap grid, where they tortured children on metal floors and metal cages and to Mark Ultra them. That was 35,267 children rescued. Then they blew that and collapsed it. That had submarine and underwater passageways for ships to come up. That's why you see a naval base in the middle of California. And that came up. Those passageways came up from Point Magoo, which if you look at underwater maps, you can see that the ocean there is very deep, so the submarines could get in.
Yeah, right around here, I think it was, if I remember right, wasn't it?
No, you see the big cluster there in the
right here?
south. No, go inland.
Oh, right here? Yeah.
Yeah, up there, and the 2 dots to the left. Mm-hmm. And that's the earthquakes that struck that area.
Yeah, I remember
and they
that.
took that and completely collapsed it.
Wow.
Praise God. And 35,267 children rescued from becoming their in-time program Janus Alexis type programming individuals that they were going to use to take down the people after they started World War III.
Wow. And look at this. California earthquake leaves Naval Station China Lake not mission capable. So the White Hats basically destroy this from the Black Hats. You can see this is some of the pictures from the outer part of this, and that made it sound like it's an earthquake, but we know what caused the earthquake, right? With the tactical nukes. So there's an article here that you can see that we'll have in the show notes at Blessed to Teach with the number 2 decode.com if you want to get the actual decode from Gene here, as well as these links.
And Emmett Spears, I see your comment. Yes, you should be very glad you turned down that assignment. Good, I'm glad you can hear me fine, Sarge, so I'll keep going here. Darwin, 4 miles due west of Darwin City. Deep Springs, the battle for that's part of the underground battle you see with all the flamethrowers and very advanced weapons like you saw used on 911, where beams were disintegrating in the air. That's called dustification, where they tear apart the molecular and atomic bonds and reduce everything to atomized. Then Fort Irwin, which is a detainment camp. Again, anytime you hear detainment camp, that means search and seizure and roundup of civilian personnel for separation. The Chinese are sent to China and everybody else is killed. You're going too fast. Just a little. George Air Force Base, Helendale, that's a Lockheed Martin Marietta underground advanced technology, advanced aircraft, and that type of thing for secret projects. Los Angeles, under all of Los Angeles is a ancient demonic city that they then enlarged and connected to all the other dumps. And that can be found, you see the directions right there. And that's also a Northrop facility, which is part of Lockheed Skunk Works. And as you read their technology for Illuminati projects, that's one of their top areas, and that is near the Titicaca Mountains. And the battle for that is currently under progress. I think under because it's under the earth. Mount Shasta, that's advanced space technology, genetic experiments, magnetic advance, and beam weaponry, like you see the space beam weaponry that they used in to take out cities in California before the Alliance got control of it, as you saw on the Q board at the end of 2017, taking out the spaceship that used that, such as the Corona and the Snowflake, and Big Bird was the control for those systems. It's 4 trillion watt masers and lasers. And that facility is 800 miles deep under Mount Shasta.
Woo! That's amazing, Jen. Just to think about that, 800 miles. And I did some research, and it's like, I think the radius of the Earth was 3,290 miles. So it's still, there's plenty of room to continue to have.
Halfway down to the center of the Earth there.
Yeah.
To going into the center of the Earth. Then we have Kern River. That's a hollowed out mountain from a hydroelectric project that they did there. The Napa Valley, that is under the Napa wineries, and the purpose of that is to take white slaves, people that are touring those and doing wine tasting and getting all nice and drunk. They'll lace their wine if they find out when they sign up that they don't have people that would miss them. They just take them and they use them for mind control and white slavery. And wheel up a little bit, please. Mm-hmm. And that's also used for direct satellite communication, laser communication, control, and continuation of government. It's on the Oakville grade. Then we have Norton's Air Force Base, continued by Quincy, near Palmdale, which is, that's what they actually call that base. But the primary name, that's a very special base. It's called the Ioano facility. Can you move that just a hair to the side so I can see the side of that, Rick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And that can see really easily. As you see, if you go up to the Three Sisters area, you can look down on that. It's very easy to see. Then Presidio, which is in San Francisco, up in the 7 mountains that San Francisco is primarily built on, that has been burned out, and that's part of what's causing the fires being seen. San Bernardino is in the San Bernardino Valley. Santa Barbara County, Santa Rosa, and that's a FEMA detention camp, as well as they call it an antenna field, but it's not. It's mostly detention and separation, again, for personnel. Mm-hmm. Sierra Nevada Mountains, and a lot of that's built in the tunnels and caverns and things that was part of the California Gold Rush. That's Choppy Canyon and Base, and that is one of the biggest basis for the demons, as you see there, pull back down, but this is known as the unholy six base. And the unholy six is the part of the top six that serve under Lucifer, calling the unholy seven being Lucifer himself. And then you have beneath that Lucifer's Asmodeus, Kariah, etc. Zaphel, and his top six demons on Earth. So that's the unholy six base where they rule Earth from. And in relation to that, people confuse Pindar. That's another name for Lucifer. His human-like representative, I call human light because he's Bill and blood of Cain, is currently the Duke of Orange in the Pacier line of the Plantagenet, and that was why I got confused with the Maersk. They owned the Maersk out of Holland. And then Trona, that's directly under Argus Peak, and that directly connects to China Lake, so a lot of that was destroyed by the massive destruction of China Lake. Benicia is connected directly to Oakland, and that's part of what's also being fought for now in California. Catalina Island. Scroll up. Thank you, Rick. God bless. Chocolate Mountains, Death Valley. The entrance to that is in a valley tunnel in the Panamint Mountains, and as well as there's another entrance on Wingate Pass. Lancaster is an aircraft design, anti-gravity, stealth craft in testing, and that's 42 levels deep. Lawrence Livermore International Labs has the Human Genome Project, specifically concentrating on chromosome 19, which is a $1.2 billion facility to modify chromosome 19, which is very important. Chromosome 19 is important when you're working with clones. They're trying to work to get the clones more real looking and more under their control so they don't break away. When you see clones, usually like you see with Jeffrey Epstein, the clone that they showed that was not really him, the earlobes are attached on the clone where they're often free swinging on humans. And so they're working with chromosome 19 to eliminate those differences. Moreno Valley, Mount Lassen, that's a 14,000 foot volcano. Beetles, along with Mount Shasta and several others of the big peaks. Most of the 14,000 foot peaks in California are volcanoes, and most of them have underground dumps. Palmdale, that's a new aircraft anti-gravity design. That's been neutralized completely. Part of that burnout that you see in Porter Ranch that's continuing, and that huge underground war going on with the 16,000 troops that are said to be stationed at 29 Palms. Techacapi facility, which is different than Techacapi Mountains, again another 42 level. Ukiah, Cocoweef Peak, which is an ancient Anasazi mining city that they took over and enlarged. Colorado, where I'm not here, Colorado since '64. Alamosa, Book Cliffs, that's near Rifle, Colorado, extends all the way down to Grand Junction, Colorado, and into Utah. And all of that's a dump. Wow. Boulder, the headquarters for the EMC electromagnetic mind control that was going to be used with 5G, HARP, NextRad, Gwyn Towers, and all of that, with the nanotech and the smart dust, nanofibers, muglins, through chemtrails and food, as well as vaccinations to make humans 2.0, as I put in our AI Decode on Rick's show here. And it's also for genetics, geology, mining, and tunneling relating to underground construction. Colorado Springs, which everybody knows, Cheyenne Mountain, NORAD, that had FEMA camps as well for separation that's tied to the cities under DIA and goes all the way to San Juan Valley, the Great Sand Dunes, Fort Collins, and all that's one massive underground facility now. So you see Fort Collins, that's actually connected to it. Denver DIA complex consists of, you can go online, and this is very easy to pull up the DIA original plans. 5 buildings, 2 are 70 floors high. There's a nuclear reactor there that's fusion. And that was separation for large personnel for the nuclear bomb that they were planning with Hillary getting in. and then separate us. And if you look at the barbed wire on DI, it's facing in, keeping people in, not people out. 2 labs were destroyed back in 2012.
And when you said 70 stories, Gene, you were actually talking about 70 stories deep, right?
Means the cavern they're in, there are 2 70-story buildings there. And if you go to DIA, you'll see a huge ziggurat of dirt that sits west of the Frontier Airways, the lanes for the planes. And those airways are ramps that go down into the domes, and that dirt is hollow inside as well, and that's some of the dirt they removed. And you can watch, if you go out and sit on Tower Boulevard or the ramp going off of Pena Boulevard, you can watch semis go out on that and be lowered down and come up facing the other way because there's not room for them to turn around. You can also go sit on the Tower Boulevard and watch the Aurora and other advanced aircraft come up at 2 and 3 o'clock at night. Right. And so there's also 2 smaller concrete buildings in there, and you can see mini cooling towers coming out of the ground and exhaust ports, which are for the crematoriums of the people that they decide not to save and keep, the non-Chinese types that they don't deem worthy, and they just take out their pineal and their blood and they just burn the rest. The Denver complex is larger than the above, and it's meant to be the new DC complex. If you go between Wadsworth Boulevard and 6th Avenue, there's another nuclear reactor there, and all of the powers of government are reduplicated, and that's why Obama was there during that near approach of a asteroid during the middle of his 2nd term.
Wow.
And this is the main hub for all of the U.S. facilities, and as well as the entire Northern American continent. And it is connected, as all of the domes are, by maglev trains that go 17,000 miles per hour all over the entire world, as well as an underground complete facility of highways that can take big trucks and semis all over and stock up all of these facilities. The Denver is a Delta Orion in-time programming area as well for staging of troops for renegade civilian operations after World War III. And also under Denver, there are 8 cities stacked, one upon the other, getting bigger and bigger as you go down, that go a total of 88.3 miles deep. The first city is 10 miles across, the second is 30, and they get 30 miles across, and they get bigger as you go down, a total of 8 cities. That's the entrance you can see there. Then we go to Grand Mesa. I've seen this one as well in person, and the battle for that's currently in control. That's advanced space weaponry, that kind of thing. Montrose, again, connected to the Grand Mesa, now an entire underground base. And that's North Paradox in Paradox Valley.
Wow.
Paradox used to be a separate facility, but they enlarged Grand Mesa and Grand Junction. It's now one facility. Creed reached through old mine shafts that were dug during the silver run that was done in Creed, which is an old silver mining city. And there's a big scary that a lot of people know that's up there near Creed. And they grab people from the scary often that they know that don't have any people who admits them as well. Delta, Falcon Air Force Base, that's for satellite control. Gore Range near Lake west of Denver. It's a library and a central data bank, and that actually goes all the way to Vail, so they can connect to the elites that go to Vail, like we've seen and covered in the news, where they have meetings in Vail. Telluride, and there's another ski area there, and they love to build under ski areas because they grab people from the ski areas as they ski off the main areas. That's why they say don't ski outside these areas. They feel if you disobey those signs, you're free game.
Wow. I have some friends that have a cabin in Telluride. Wow.
Yeah. And also that waterfall up there with the plant, the little building on top, that's another access to that one. Warden Valley west of Fort Collins, of course, that's now part of the entire city network under Denver, DIA, etc. Montrose north of Paradox, that's another one that used to be separate, but now it's part of the whole, and that's via Highway 90 out of Nucla. It's a little tiny town sitting southeast of Paradox Valley. They call it Paradox because the river's running backwards because of what they're doing underground there. In Connecticut, there's one. It's in the northwest of Connecticut. I haven't been able to identify the specifics on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Florida, that's Port St. Lucie, as you see with Serial Brain 2 and the Decode on Rick's show. That has been taken out via tactical nuke by SEAL Team 9. Eglin Air Force Base, and then we go to Georgia. That, again, is a regional FEMA center as per the Decode on the Nazis, where they're going to divide the U.S. into 10 regions. That would be the center of one of the regions. Anytime you see a regional center, it's talking about the capital of one of those 10 regions, and so that's one of them. Atlanta has 3 underground facilities in this area, which is Kennesaw Mountains, and Marietta and Dobbins Air Force Base.
Jeez,
which is south. Yeah, which is south of Atlanta Forest Park. Did you want to say something, Rick? I know I'm going fast.
Oh no! I'm just mad about the sound. It's just too bad. So
then we have Thomasville. I'll lean back. I just want to get close to the computer. Is what causes the feedback whine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I have my computer muted, but it's doing that. Then we have Thomasville, another FEMA. And anytime you see a FEMA regional center, that means renegade civilian ops, round up people that survived the nuclear holocaust and separate them and harvest their pineal and blood if they're not Chinese. And if they are Chinese, send them to those cities in China. Then we have, as you see, that's search and destroy missions. And I've actually witnessed and invaded a renegade civilian ops and confirmed that's what they're doing when I was stationed in Hawaii just before I retired. Those are what is known as UNISF and UNMNTF forces, United Nations International Security Forces, and United Nations Multinational Task Forces. Those troops are located in the Downs in the U.S. and Canada, and they're to round up millions of citizens and Americans who appear on the CIA Red List and Blue List. Those are people that are not Chinese. The CIA Red List is personnel. It used to also have a dot inside your mailbox. If it was a red dot, it means you're good to be a slave. If it's a blue list, just harvest you for what is harvestable and burn the rest. These troops are Chinese, Russian, German, Polish, Japanese, Ukrainian, Saudi Arabian, Pakistani, Mexican, Honduran, Salvadorian, Chilean, Vietnamese, and other foreign trained troops. The ones I met in Hawaii were all Vietnamese wearing U.S. Army fatigues and said they were U.S. Army, but all of them were speaking Vietnamese and Vietnamese.
Wow.
The mass detention and FEMA camps in these dumps, along with mass executions, were planned as per the FEMA cars and coffins in the previous Decode that you could see. And you can go and look at the FEMA camps and Walmart camps that have been converted. Those are easy to find by DuckDuckGo.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a total of, as far as I've been able to ascertain, a set number for the renegade civilian operation teams, a total of 6 million.
Yeah, here's some articles, and there's some other articles, guys. A lot that Gene used, 4 different ones talking about all these dumbs, etc. So this is not out of imagination. There's quite a bit of documentation and links that Gene that you'll see in the Decode as we go through this with better sound on the next few episodes.
Yep. And in regards to your comment, Kevin V, crew was originally contracted by cannibalism in stage 1. It's not contagious. In stage 2, it's becomes contagious by touch when the person dies, like Hillary did going into the van and was taken to Chelsea's for blood transfusion. Now she has to wear a backpack that gives her new adrenochrome-laced blood. She has to get that every day, and it's supplied 24 hours a day. And then she has a fistula under her right foot that drains her necrotic blood. In that stage, all of her, the air she breathes out is contagious. And there's 5 ways you can get essentially something like Kuru that will cause you to become essentially like Z Nation type of thing. And then Hawaii, we skipped Dobbins Air Force Base. That's in Marietta. It's a test site for plasma and anti-gravity aircraft and experimental crafts and weapons. In Hawaii, I've been inside this one, Alimana Crater, under military housing. That's officer military housing. It's known as the tunnel by the Navy people there. It's for nuclear weapons storage. The facilities connect underground to all the islands of Hawaii, but primarily the Big Island. The entrances on the Big Island are via Mauna Kea. And that's now under White Hat control since the USSS in other words, CIA ship, the Rathburn, which had been the La Jolla, which was a Special Forces submarine, launched 2 nuclear missiles on Hawaii and 1 Harpoon missile on Air Force One when it was on its way to Korea. And the 2 TR-3Bs and an F-15 took out that missile before it killed POTUS. That was one of the currently, in my counting, 17 attempts. That was number 5 on POTUS's life. And that's why he slipped today, well, purposely slipped and said today in the interview with Hannity that when Obama did the stuff he did with AT&T, they didn't try to impeach him. So that's a purposeful floating sleep. It's called code speak. 83 in Idaho is Lower Goose Lake. That's in Oakley, and that's a Wackenhut model prison. And so they take the very worst of the federal prisoners, the really tough guys, to see if they can break them and Mark Ultram, because they make great troops. And they have 7,100, so, I mean, great for them. And the track runs through the middle. They keep it very dark, poor lighting. They're giving 1 shower a week, and that's with salt water, by the way. And they're beaten if they speak until they're unconscious, or if they talk at all. And by talk at all, I mean if they even mumble under their breath. In south central Idaho, near the Snake River lava hose that are between Twin Falls and Idaho Falls, and I've been to that one as well.
Hey, Gene, with that, so we've already burned through 55 minutes, so thinking it might be good. Yeah, and so we only got through Idaho. I'm just going to show people some sneak peeks of what we'll do tomorrow with Better Sign.
We'll continue on the next show.
Yeah, and so
for that, because we're about halfway through the Tums. We're the I, but they get a little fewer as we go down in the alphabet.
Yeah, so this is 14 of a 51 page, page 14 of a 51 page decode, but it goes through all the rest of the states and where all these DUMs are with some massively interesting information. And then, and I'm going to turn you down, Gene, for a little bit to see if I can not keep the feedback from coming. And Complex Air Force, it just goes on and on and on and on. But then he's got a lot of links that shows how they're building these tunnels. And a lot of links into, like, here's the complete list of military bases, deep underground military bases. There's tons of different sourcing here. Here's an 8-minute video where a trucker is talking about going underneath one of these bases and how hundreds of miles worth of highways underneath our United States. There's just a ton of information here. Here's some pictures of underneath the DUMs. Here's talking about the whole Walmart thing. We'll dig into that at a later time. More links about these tunnels and YouTube videos about them that you have links. He's done a ton of information here. So this is not just Gene's opinion. This is a lot of backed up information and research. This goes on and on. More stuff on what the plans were of the elite to do after they put us in FEMA camps and destroyed 90% of the population. There's some underground stuff going on in Russia. There's what I have on the back of my in my deal. This is patents for these boring machines, and this is extremely detailed. So we'll get into a lot of this as we go. I'm gonna shrink this up a little bit because I was but that was 33 pages of this, and again, this is 51 pages of massive detail of all the patents, all the information showing that these machines that dig these holes, these massive craters, and create the thermonuclear blast to be able to create these things, and these high-speed trains, etc. There's tons of pictures of these drills that Gene will explain in a lot more detail than I can do justice right now, and tons of YouTubes all backing this up. So Gene spent massive amount of time on this. That's the 51 pages here, but I did want to go to the back here just to talk a little bit about some scripture. This says Psalm 27:1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is my strength and my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Psalm 37:39. But the salvation of the righteous is from the Lord. He is their strength in time of trouble. Psalm 183:3. In the day when I cried out, you answered me and made me bold with strength in my soul. We pray for the strength and for the victory of the brave military. May they triumph over this evil. We pray that the safety and victory of the brave POTUS and his family, for the Patriot Alliance that is saving humanity and the earth. Finally, we pray that you give us all, the army of God, to give us your protection and blessing in surviving this vast conflict. Protect us, enlighten us, and save us all. We humbly, and for these blessings from you, the one true living God of all love, light, and creation, and in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, we thank you and glory in your love, light, peace, and power. Amen. From Gene. So sorry we lost Gene's audio, but I really appreciate Gene hanging in there and doing it on the phone so we could actually get this. So we will make sure that we get this in the show notes, right? So I'm only going to post for this one, not all 51 pages. I'll post what we went over plus this back part of the prayer. And then I keep you coming for the next ones that will come. I'll split this up into like 3 pieces when I end up knowing how far we get. I've got it all together now. But just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that you'll get the decode on what we went over. And I'll put some of the links that back up the dumbs, though, in this next decode. Okay? So we burnt through our hour there, guys. Really appreciate you taking the time, Gene. I know I don't know if you want to have any last words, but because I took over there at the end.
Oh, yeah, you did really good. Thank you, Rick. I just want to say God bless you and all those here. And please offer up prayers for our brave patriots fighting underground, for us, for our freedom, and for our lives, and to save this world and to save our nation. God bless us all and protect us all in the name of the one true living God of all love, light, compassion, and creation. We glory in your power and lift us up, God, in your name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right, with that, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Wow, what a lot of work Gene's done here, and I think this will be a transformational type decode once we really kind of pull this all together. And I'll be summarizing this as well. So tomorrow we're going to try to go over it with good audio. We'll go over a lot of these born machines and finish up where all these dumbs are and what the elite's plan was for us to eliminate us and or enslave us. And so we'll get into a lot more detail with that. So with that, this is the Cabal's deep underground military bases in the Gene Decode. We'll get part 2 tomorrow. God bless you guys, and we'll see you next time.